Hey guys, it's Rachel. So today I have a new video for you guys that you guys have really requested, and it's how I edit my iPhone photos using my iPhone. So the first thing that's important is to have a great photo to begin with. I think there's a little bit of a misconception that, you know, you can just slap a filter on a photo and you're gonna have a great photo, but you need to have a great photo from the beginning. So I made a video all about how I actually take my photos, so I'll link that in the down box below. Apps that we're gonna be talking about primarily today are Facetune, Vsco Cam, and Snapseed. So these are three of my favorite apps for photo editing. So I'm gonna show you guys how I use each one of them to get a great photo that I end up putting on my Instagram feed. So the first thing you wanna do is choose your photo. So I have pre-selected my photo, and this is something I talked about in the last video, is to create folders on your iPhone. That's gonna make it a lot easier to find your photos. So here we are on my phone. I know it gives some people anxiety, all the notifications, but so I'm just gonna make sure everything is ready. So I'm gonna go into my Photos app, and if you guys can see here are all of the albums. I have, yes, over 100,000 photos. I know, I'm crazy. But that's because I have cloud storage on my phone, something I highly recommend if you guys are gonna be taking a lot of photos. So I'm gonna scroll down here to the albums. So I put everything in albums, and you can see the first one says pizza. So that's the photo that I'm gonna be editing today for you guys. So this is the original photo, and it's a really cute photo to start with, I think. And you know, we took a lot of photos. This is the one we're gonna start with. And I always start in Facetune. So we're gonna go right into Facetune right here. So then on the upper left corner, we're gonna click that, which is gonna open up. And then we're gonna click Open Photo. Then, because I have all of these albums, it makes it a little bit easier. I'm gonna scroll down to my albums, pizza. Then the photo is gonna open right here. Great. So this is the original photo. So on Facetune, I just like to make slight retouches. So first I'm gonna go ahead and zoom into my face, right close. And so then I'm gonna actually first use the detail tool. So the detail tool is gonna make certain things sharper. So I'm just gonna slightly detail. I usually do my eyelashes. If I'm wearing lipstick, a little bit on the lips. Zoom out a little bit. Sometimes I like to do a little bit on the tip of the nose. The jawline I can make a little bit more clear. And then I just like to look at the different elements of the photo and see if there's anything else that I want to kind of bring out. So one thing I want to bring out a little bit is the pizza. So I'm just lightly detailing this. And then there's a little heart on my fingernails, I think is cute, so I'm gonna detail that. This is just kind of something I like to do. Coca-Cola, any of the details here. And then my shirt actually says New York Pizza Queen, so I actually wanna try and bring that out. It might not be that visible, but maybe they'll see that it says pizza, my belt, okay. So then to save those changes, you gotta click the upper right corner, this little check mark. Okay, so next I'm gonna use the smooth tool. So this is gonna make things a little bit smoother. So that I, again, use on my face. So I just have a little zit here, so I'm gonna smooth it a little bit. This is something, do not go overboard with the smooth tool. It's really easy to look like a doll or just like totally fake. So I really use it super lightly, and that's something that I learned over time, that I kind of used it too much at the beginning. So I just like to use it very gently. And if there's anything else, like I sometimes use the smooth tool if I have wrinkles on my clothes. So like I could do it here, it's like a t-shirt, so I wouldn't usually do it, but you know, you can just softly smooth out any wrinkles on your clothes. Okay, great. So then I click the check mark. Then I'm gonna go in with the whiten tool, and then I'm gonna use it to whiten my teeth just a little bit. You can also use this to whiten the eyes. I usually don't, but if they're really red for some reason, maybe I'll go in and use the whiten tool. And we can also use the whiten tool is if you are standing on a white background and you want it to look really white, you can actually use the whiten tool to brush over the white area and it'll brighten it up. So then you click check. So make sure you click that check mark after you do any changes, or you're not gonna have your changes saved. And then some of the other tools that are on here that I'll show you that I like. So Reshape, kind of a controversial one, but if you do want to make any changes to yourself, you can use the Reshape tool. So you could do this, I'm not going to, or you could use the Refine tool, which is like the Reshape tool, but it's a little bit more precise. So you just kind of can reshape things. And this button right here, upper left, bottom left corner, is like the undo button. Another tool you can use that I use all the time is the patch tool. This is probably my favorite tool. In New York, there's always like a ton of trash and cigarettes on the ground. So you can actually use this tool to kind of patch things out. So let's see in this photo if there's anything that is bugging me. So if I want to patch out, see like these little crumbs, if they're bothering me, what I use is this patch tool because it's basically a cloning tool. So you're gonna get two circles. One circle has a little line in it and one circle is empty. The circle with the line is what you're copying and the circle that's empty is what you're copying it to. So it'll be easier to show you. So let's see, I wanna get rid of this dot. So I put my the empty circle over what I don't like, and then I bring this one to where I wanna clone it. So you can see, it's gone. So this works great for small things like trash or cigarette butts. It's a little bit harder to patch out big things. I have patched out people before or trash cans, but you have to be really delicate with this tool. And you know, you need a background that doesn't have a lot going on. But let's say this dot I want to get out too. So I just pop it out. Or like, let's say I don't like these crumbs here. I can just, whoops. Go ahead and do that. Oops. So this is something that you can play around with if you guys have things in your photo that you don't like. Okay, so this grease stain actually does kind of bother me, so I'm going to patch that out. So scrolling over that, so you can see, and then if you click this bottom right, you can see the before and after, so you can really see what you're doing. And then if you ever want to do the before and after of the whole photo to see the changes that you've made, again, use this circle in the bottom left corner, and you can see the changes that you made. So I didn't do a ton of changes in Facetune. Depends on the photo. If there's more going on that I don't like, you can do more or less. But Facetune is a great way to make changes to your face, to your skin, to your body, anything that you kind of want to do or kind of get those great details going. So I'm actually finished with Facetune here. So I'm going to export this photo. So to do that, I go to the upper right corner here, and the top one says save to camera roll. So we're going to click save to camera roll, and it's going to save to my camera roll. So the next app I'm going to use is called Snapseed. Now Snapseed is probably my absolute favorite application for editing photos because it has tons and tons of tools. It's a free app from Google. I feel like not a lot of people are talking about it, but to me, I think it's such an amazing app. It does have a little bit of a learner's curve. When you first learn it, there are a lot of tools, so it can be a little overwhelming. But when I first got the app, I would just sit on my couch for hours and try out different tools on there, so you can really teach yourself a lot. So what I do to open the photo that we edited on Facetune in Snapseed, so I go over here to Snapseed, and I actually like to do it from the home screen. You can hold down and click open from device, and then that's gonna open up your photos, open. So I have all photos here, so I'm gonna click all photos and go to the last photo because this is the one that was edited in Facetune. So the first thing I usually use in Snapseed is the brightness tool. Now personally for Instagram, I like my photos to be really bright because you never know who's going to be seeing the photo. They might have their brightness all the way down, and I really want them to be able to see the photo very clearly. And just for my feed personally, I like it to be bright and fun and energetic, so I like bright photos. So first thing I go then is to tools, all the way down here, and then on the upper left corner is tune image. So what's a little bit confusing, it's like, okay, what do I do now? So you see all the way at the top it says brightness, and so you're gonna either wanna go left or right. So that's gonna bring the brightness up or down. And then all the tune image tools are here. You just have to scroll up or down. So you have brightness, contrast, saturation, ambiance, highlights, shadows, and warmth, all within this tool. So first I'm gonna bring the brightness up, and I'm gonna bring the brightness up quite a bit. I'm gonna go up here to 43, which I know seems like a lot, but I just really like my photos, like I said, to be bright. So then I'm gonna click that, which is gonna save. So you can already see the before and after. So if you ever want to see the changes that you've made versus the original, you just click on the photo and you'll see the before and after. So next thing I'm gonna do is use that tune image tool again. And this photo, because it was taken indoors, is a little bit yellow. And I don't like that. So I'm gonna go to the warmth tool all the way here at the bottom. And I'm gonna turn down the warmth just a little bit. This is a pretty sensitive tool, so you can see it really goes warm or really cold easily. So I just wanna turn it down like 10. So you can see the before and after. It just cools down the photo a little bit. Might even go a little less, maybe 7. Okay, so then save that. Next thing I'm gonna do is use the selective tool. This is probably the tool I use the most often and I find to be the best tool here on Snapseed. So you go to Tools, and then Selective, the second row, second from the right here, Selective. And what the selective tool is, it allows you to edit a specific part of the photo, meaning that you're not editing the entire photo, which is great because you might have noticed, let's say you want to look a little bit more tan in your photo, so you try and bring the saturation up. But that brings the saturation up on everything, so that everything looks kind of weird. So this lets you select specific parts of the photo to edit. So let's say I want to start with, I'm going to go into my face, and let's say, okay, so my lipstick, it's really red and I want it to match a little bit more closely to the red on my hat. So to use the select tool, you're going to see that when you tap on the screen, certain things are going to become red. So whatever is red is what you're focusing on, what you're changing. So you can use kind of the zoom, I don't know, zoom fingers to select exactly what you want. You can see the circle coming around, and then it actually does pull out the wherever you put this, you see this blue B, it's gonna go around and it's pulling that color. So it's gonna pull everything that's that color. So when I pull it here, you can see the red, and it's gonna pull the red. If I had it bigger, it'll pull the red of my hat as well, but I just wanted to change the color of my lipstick. And then here again, you have a whole menu of, you have brightness, contrast, saturation, and structure. So the hat is a little bit lighter than the lipstick. So I'm gonna turn the brightness up so that it matches a little bit better to the hat. So there we go. So now the brightness matches a little bit more to the hat. And I can also use the saturation tool if I wanna make the lipstick a little bit more saturated, a little more bright. That's probably too much, but let's say we'll just put it at 16 and then save that. Again, these are really slight changes, but just to me personally, I find that slight changes, it was what makes the whole photo, because you want those little details, just like the hat matching the lipstick. I think that that is just a little detail that makes the photo great, and those are the kinds of things that really stand out on Instagram, because there are so many people making great photos and you want yours to be the best. So then I can also use the selective tool, for example. I really want the words on my sweater to stand out. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and make the sweater a little bit more pink, because it is like a pale pink. I wanna make it a little more darker pink. So again, I use the selective tool, and because the sweater is close to the color of my skin, I have to be careful because it's gonna try and make my skin part of that. I don't wanna change my skin. So I just try and get as much of the sweater without getting too much of my neck. Then I'm gonna go here to saturation, and turn the saturation up just a little bit. And you can see my sweater is looking a little bit more of a darker pink, just a little bit. And then save. What I'm also gonna do, so what I don't like about this photo is that there's certain areas that are really yellowy, and that's because of the fluorescent lights in the space, because I was inside obviously in a pizza shop. So I'm gonna go to these parts that are really yellow, so like here in the left corner. So I'm gonna use a selective tool. Oh, gotta go back to tools, selective, zoom into that part of the photo, and then click to get my selective tool. And I'm gonna select, you can see it's just selecting all these parts that are kind of yellowy. So first I'm gonna bring the brightness up a little bit. The brightness is tricky because it'll blow out the photo if you go too far. I'm just gonna bring it up a little bit, and then I'm gonna go in here to saturation. I'm gonna turn the saturation down. So you can see it's starting to make this yellow a little bit less of a like harsh yellow, which is what I want. So you can see the before and after. So I'm gonna do this all around the photo. Okay, great. So I've turned down the saturation on a few of those areas. You can see it's just a little bit less yellowy, which I think really does help out bring me more into focus as well. So from there, I actually want to lighten up my hair a little bit. So the parts of my hair that are a little darker, I'm gonna select, turn them up, and bring the saturation down just a little bit. It's gonna make the hair a little bit more icy because my hair looks a little bit more yellowy in this photo, again, because of the lights. So you're just giving yourself the opportunity to kind of change these little things without editing the entire photo. Great. So you can already see the before and after, which I think it looks really good. The other thing I'm noticing is that my face is looking like a little bit, I don't know why, a little bit like pink, a little bit too close to the pink of my sweatshirt, and I want it to be a little bit less pink. So again, I'm gonna do the same thing and just turn the saturation down like just a teeny bit. And I know it's just like ever so slight, but again, these little things make a big difference. Like anything, it does take time. So the last thing I like to do on Snapseed is use the details tool. I personally like my pictures on Instagram to be really sharp because I find that I think when people are kind of scrolling through the feed quickly, you want something that is really kind of detailed so they can see all the details very quickly while they're kind of scrolling through casually. So I'm gonna go to details, which is next to tune image on the top row, right here. And then you have structure and sharpening. So structure is going to kind of give you a little bit more shadows and highlights to really bring the photo out. And then sharpening is just gonna make the picture really sharp. So I like to bring those up both a little bit. What I do personally is I zoom into the face when I'm doing this because then the face is kind of the main focus, so you make sure you're not overdoing it. So I'm gonna bring the structure up and you can just see how it changes, or if you take it down, you know, you have no shadows or highlights. So I'm gonna bring the structure up to about 15 and the sharpening maybe to 15 as well. Okay, so the last thing I'm just checking, I actually am gonna bring the brightness up a little bit more here in the end, just because I know when we go into Vsco Cam, a lot of the filters are gonna darken the photo a tad, so I wanna make sure the photo's nice and bright before we go into Vsco Cam. So I'm just gonna brighten it up a little bit, 25. Okay, that looks good. So then save here at the bottom right corner. Then we're gonna go to export here, and I like to do save a copy, because if you do save, it's gonna basically edit your original photo, so you don't have the original photo anymore. But I like to keep it just in case, you know, I realize this is not the edit that I want, I can go back. So save a copy. So with save a copy, you can go back into this photo in Snapseed and still make changes on what you've already done. Because if you wanna, for example, make changes in Snapseed, I should have showed you guys this. You can go to this one up here with the little arrow. You can go to view edits, and it's gonna show you all the edits that you made, and you can go back on your edits. Of course, I'm not gonna do that, but that's just an option. It's like a histogram. So export, save a copy. Now it's gonna save all the different changes that you made. Great. So the last app I'm gonna use is Vsco Cam. So Vsco Cam is my favorite app for filters. So I find that the filters on there are the best. I know a lot of people use Lightroom. You can use Vsco Cam for Lightroom. But personally, I love editing my photos on my phone. I can do it wherever. I don't need a computer. I can do it when I'm on the subway. You know, you always have your phone, but you don't have to have your computer. So honestly, Vsco, in my opinion, is the best. It is a free app, but some of the best filters are paid filters. So, you know, it might be an investment of a couple dollars for the filters that you want. So I'm gonna go into this plus sign up here, which is going to bring up my camera roll. And then I'm going to select this photo, which is the one we were editing. It's gonna bring it into the studio here, or not, okay? Come on, Vsco. Okay, now it's gonna import. So now the photo is imported. So then I go down here to these two lines with the little circle. And now I have all the filters that I've purchased. So I pretty much have all the filters that you can get because, you know, to me, it's not that expensive to spend $10 or $15 to buy several filter packs. You know, Lightroom is way more expensive than that. So having all these features, I think, is totally, totally worth it. So the series of filters that I use the most often is the chromatic series. So it starts with C. You can see here it has this orange band. Vsco sorts the filters by color as well. So these A filters have more of a reddish. These Qs are like gray. So it's a great way to easily see and organize. So my 3 filters that I use the most often are C7, C8, and C9. This is just a personal choice because I like my photos to be really warm, really crisp, and it's kind of, they say the chromatic collection is a little bit retro, reminiscent of mid-century modern. So I would say 80% of my photos I use C8. I just love the way that it looks. To edit to how much of the filter you want, you just click on the filter again, and then you have this slider to how much you want to change. So I usually stick between 6 and +6 to +10, depending on how it looks. So I try and look really closely and see what looks the best. So again, you can zoom into your face or wherever the focal point of the photo is. I'm gonna put it up to 9.5. And then I do actually wanna bring the brightness up a little bit, which you can do here in Vsco. So I use the exposure tool. And the exposure tool on Vsco is a lot more sensitive, which is why I do it in Snapseed. I mean, you just do +1.9 and it's a huge difference. So you gotta be really careful in Vsco. So I'm just gonna bring up to 0.4. And then you can always see the before and after, same thing if you just tap on the photo. And then I do sometimes like to even sharpen it a little bit more in Vsco. So I'm gonna bring the sharpness up 0.7. So then I click the save button. I'm gonna save, brings me back to the studio. Then I go down here to the bottom right corner with the 3 dots. And then I click save to camera roll, and always, always, always choose actual size. You want the photo as big as possible to have the best quality. Actual size. And then sometimes I actually do like to go in and add a second filter. But on Vsco, you have to export the first filter before you can add a second filter. You can't add multiple filters at the same time. So that means I'm gonna go back into the plus and bring in that edited version that we just did of the photo. And then the C collection is really warm, and I want it, just because it's a winter photo, to be a little bit cooler. And I really like this filter AV8, but I'm gonna bring it down a ton. I just think it gives this really cool effect. I just usually do a little bit, so I'm only gonna do like 3.0. See how it just makes the photo a little bit cooler? And I just like personally that effect. And within this filter, some filters have, you can change multiple things about the filter. That's part of their newer filters collection. So you can change, but I'm just gonna leave it. Again, save to camera roll, actual size. So now I have my photo, and what I do is actually go back and add it to the same album. So select, add to my pizza album. And that way you can see the before and after. Whoops, let's go pizza. So here's the original photo taken on my iPhone, and here is the edited version, which I think looks great. It is ready to post on Instagram, so let's post. You guys probably already know how to do that. We're gonna go into Instagram, then we're gonna click down here. I always like to have my photos in 4:5. This is another thing that's really important to me. I never post photos in square anymore because you know what? There's not as much space. You know, you're just taking up more of someone's screen when you're posting in the 4:5 ratio. It's just the ratio. 1:1 would be square. 4:5 is just like you have a little bit more length than width. And I just find that those photos look better and they always perform better. So that's obviously, again, a personal opinion, but as a Instagrammer, I guess, that's really, you'll never see a photo that's not in this aspect ratio on my feed. So then I go to next, and then I don't do any changes in Instagram. I just think that their filters and their tools are just not anywhere near as good as what I've been able to do with the other applications. So then I just go right into next. And then in terms of a caption, I like to keep my captions really short and kind of quippy, something funny. Usually people really like, but I can't always think of something funny, but something short and sweet is great. Obviously some people love to do really long captions, but I like to keep them nice and short. And so what I was thinking might be cute is actually putting "That's Amore," which is of course from that song, "That's Amore."
When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore.
So then I'm just gonna put the pizza emoji. I think that's cute, then click OK. For the tags, I actually do really like to tag where I got all my articles of clothing. That way people can, if they are interested in buying them, they could shop them. So I can do that with the tag functionality. And then I also actually really like to put the location of the photo. That is gonna increase your visibility on Instagram, and people are gonna see the location. Maybe they wanna go there. I always put the location. Or I'll put New York, New York if it's somewhere not specific. So that's the tag people, add location. So then I'm just gonna click share. It'll obviously come up in the feed, and everybody can smash that like. They can give you guys lots of love. So I hope this gave you guys some ideas for some ways to edit your Instagram photos just with your iPhone. So I didn't mention, but I have the iPhone 7 Plus, which I find is a great phone for taking photos. I hope to get the X soon, and all the editing was done here on the 7 Plus. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like it, give it a thumbs up and let me know what you guys think of the edit. And be sure to check out my channel. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and you can also check out my other video, how I take great photos with my iPhone. So thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!
When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore.